Hey, this is Nikki G and welcome to Better Commander. Sultai Enchantments. I never thought I'd see the day. These are a solid baker's dozen of cards that don't appear on the EDH rec page for Tatsunari, Toad Rider. Some of these you may never have heard of, and some of these I used in decks before there even was an EDH rec. One thing I love about this community is that the people will not hesitate to correct you if you get something wrong or you suggest a subpar card. The other side of that coin is that they will also recognize quality and applaud unique thinking. With that, let's turn our attention to the card. Tatsunari Toad Rider, 2 and a black, for a legendary creature, a human ninja 3/3. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, if you don't control a creature named Kami, create Kami, a legendary 3/3 black and green frog creature token. With whenever you cast an enchantment spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. For 1 and a Simic mana, Tatsunari Toad Rider and target frog you control can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with flying or reach. Wow, there's a lot of text on this card. So this guy generates a buddy who has a drain effect on cast for your enchantments. There are plenty of words on this card and there are a few ways to go. The drain effect will get annoying to your opponents, especially if you're casting cheap auras and swinging in for commander damage. Or you can lean into the drain effect and use lots of enchantments that stack them up. In any case, here are a few cards you may not have seen that you may want to consider for our old pal, the Toad Rider. Sea Dasher Octopus, 1 blue, creature octopus, it's a 2/2. You can mutate for 1 and a blue. If you cast a spell for its mutate cost, put it over or under target non-human creature you control. They mutate into the creature on top, plus all abilities from under it, and it has flash. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So we'll start with an honorable mention. Okay, hear me out on this. If you mutate this on top of Kami, you get that drain effect, but it's no longer named Kami. So then Tatsunari will trigger on your next cast of an enchantment. So this has flash, so you can mutate in response to declare blockers so you can draw your card. I like this card, and I like mutate cards in general for this deck so you can double up Kami triggers. Belby, Corrupted Observer, 1 black and 1 green for a legendary creature, Phyrexian Zombie Elf, 2/2. At the beginning of each player's post-combat main phase, that player adds colorless for each of your opponents who lost life this turn. Damage causes loss of life. My reasoning here is that we can power out bigger spells after our first main phase. Keep in mind this benefits our opponents as well, so Belby's a bit of a risky biscuit. This is one of my favorite cards in Commander. Soul Ransom, 2, a blue and a black, enchantment aura. Enchant creature. You control enchanted creature. Discard 2 cards. Soul Ransom's controller sacrifices it, then draws 2 cards. Only your opponents may activate this ability. So basically you get to control the creature, your opponent gets to discard 2 cards, and then you sacrifice the creature, draw 2 cards. This is a removal spell and a card draw stapled together. You can cast this on your opponent's Consecrated Sphinx or their commander, and they'll have to discard 2 cards and put you up 2 cards. This is great in an enchantment deck, and I've been looking for one to put this in for a long time. As far as I'm aware, you can also cast this on your own creature, not that you'd ever want to do that anyway. Teferi's Ageless Insight, 2 blue and blue. For a legendary enchantment. If you would draw a card except for the first one you draw on each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. This triggers off your enchantresses. It's an enchantment. It's only $1.50. This is a decent card for a Tatsunari deck all around. Lignify, for 1 and a green, tribal enchantment, Treefolk Aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature is a treefolk with base power and toughness 0/4 and loses all abilities. This is another copy of Kenrith's transformation and is cheaper than Song of the Dryads. Both of those cards are inarguably better, but this is a redundant effect if you're aiming for enchantment only removal or if you're playing on an extreme budget. Dockside Chef, 1 black mana for an enchantment creature, a human citizen, it's a 1/2, and it has the ability 1 and a black, sacrifice an artifact or creature, draw a card. This is a 1-drop enchantment that can trigger Tatsunari. It can be an early blocker, and can be used to sacrifice the token to draw a card. That's kind of the weird thing about a Tatsunari deck is you have this recurable Kami token. So I was thinking along the lines when I was building it that I would use cards like Attrition and cards like Dockside Chef to gain incidental value from that recurable token. Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. This guy has spaghetti sauce all over his hands. He just made meatballs. So 2 and a black for a legendary creature, Vampire Cleric. He's a 1/3. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. 3 black black. Creatures you control gain lifelink until the end of turn. This card is deceptively good. If you're attacking with your evasive commander and his toad, this is an 18 life swing if you activate Veto. Veto also triggers off Kami's Drain effect. This is a really sweet card in this deck. Reconnaissance Mission, 2 blue for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. It also has cycling for 2. Coastal Piracy is basically the same card minus the cycling. Again, if we have our evasive commander and his little toad buddy, we might as well draw cards when they get through for damage. Plus it's an enchantment. Okay, and then we have the Sleeper's Robe, a blue and a black mana for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has fear. It can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. So this triggers Tatsunari to create his buddy, and it makes him harder to block and replaces itself. It's a very unique aura from Invasion. I just wanted to take a minute and appreciate this art by Alan Pollock. This creature, not sure who it is, just looks so awesome and pensive in his cyber cloak. I'm sure it's a reference to the Phyrexian sleeper agents. Hey Alan Pollock, here's some flowers, buddy. Octopus Umbra, 3 blue for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has base power and toughness 8/8 and has whenever this creature attacks, you may tap target creature with power 8 or less. It also has totem armor, which reads if enchanted creature would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy this aura. This is a big power bonus for 5 mana and can help clear blockers. Plus it's protection for Tatsunari. If he dies, the Umbra is destroyed instead. Dress Down out of Modern Horizons 2 for 1 and a blue. It's an enchantment, Flash. When Dress Down enters the battlefield, draw a card so it replaces itself immediately. Creatures lose all abilities. At the beginning of the end step, sacrifice Dress Down. This is a really interesting card. I've used it to shut off Blood Artist combos and prevent creature-based combos from going off. It replaces itself and is an enchantment, so it'll trigger Tatsunari. Lampad of Death's Vigil. It's 1 and a black for an enchantment creature, Nymph, 1/3. Pay 1 colorless, sacrifice a creature. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This is another enchantment creature sacrifice outlet. This leans into the drain effect if you decide to build more into an aristocrat strategy. Whip of Erebos, 2 black for a legendary enchantment artifact. Creatures you control have lifelink. 2 black, tap. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. If it would leave the battlefield, exile instead of putting it anywhere else. Activate only as a sorcery. So as a final honorable mention, I wanted to bring up this nifty enchantment artifact. This will play into strategies involving Veto, Sanguine Bond, and other drain effects. The whip also has that nifty recursion ability as well. I'm still in the process of building this deck. I think it's a really interesting commander. Sultai Auras has never really been done before. And these are some hidden gems, some diamonds in the rough, and some sapphire medallions that you can use in your Tatsunari decks. So this is going to be Nikki G from Better Commander, and I want your subs and I want your likes so the algorithm will finally let me out of the carpet remnant room. It's so dark in here. This is Nikki G from Better Commander, signing off.